Well, this is inconvenient. Hi everyone, welcome back. We could address the elephant in the room, but I don't speak elephant, so let's talk about my foot instead. Yeah, earlier this month, I went on several hikes. One of them disappeared from the SD cards, and, well, needless to say, I kind of hiked for an extra 2 to 3 miles that day and overdid it on my foot. In subsequent days following, I kept on that foot, never actually getting off of it, never really giving it a rest. Until finally I couldn't get my foot into my shoe. I needed to go to the ER. They told me it was just a callus. Set me up with a podiatrist. A couple days later, I finally see that podiatrist. They kind of dig into my foot. And, well, they find an abscess that's a bit infected. So I've been off my feet for a little bit. Haven't been able to go out and film. It's getting much better. Thankfully, I caught it in time. Back during the pandemic, I did not catch something in time. I had cracked a molar. Got a little bit infected. Ended up in the ER with, again, an abscess. And severe sepsis. They did emergency surgery. I ended up in the ICU right in the height of COVID. So, yeah, that was fun. Make sure, even if it's just a small thing, make sure you go get it checked out with your doctor. But I've had to be off my feet for just a little bit now. I've kept myself busy. I trained the cat how to shake. Stella shake. Good Stella shake. And I went through some old SD cards. I found a little adventure my daughter and I went on back in July of 2024. So almost a year and a half ago. If you'll excuse, well, you'll see. Yeah, very early on me with these cameras, and I didn't have the best of camera angles focused on me, and, well, at least I did allow the tour guide to give most of the info. So why don't you join past me, and let's see what we can see. Hi everybody, welcome back. Today, we decided we're going on a trolley ride. Now this is the only operating trolley in the city of Denver. Just like many other cities, there used to be an actual trolley system. This is not one of those trains. This is rebuilt from a train, I believe, from Melbourne, Australia. But we're going to go for a ride and hopefully hear a little bit of history. And hopefully it'll stay nice and empty. Side note, as you can probably tell from the sound, this is not an electric trolley, this is a diesel trolley. So it's going to be a little bit loud.
This is my first trolley ride ever. I'm so excited.
Alright, it looks like we're ready to go.
Alright everyone, we should be good to get out of here in just a few seconds. Other than that, we should be good to get out of here. Alright, so right now we are leaving Confluence Park. In Latin, Confluence means the merging of two rivers. This is where the South Platte meets the Cherry Creek. It's also where Denver was found, and a little bit of gold was found here in the river. When you find gold, you get a gold rush. So these people called 59ers came out here, not 49ers. This was 10 years after California's gold rush. 59ers came out here. They had two camps. One on this side was called St. Charles, And the one on the other side of the river was called Auraria. If you're from Denver, you might recognize that name Auraria, from Auraria campus over there. And these two camps would often fight each other. They wanted to get the most gold that they could. It wasn't until General Larimer came out here that they merged together to form the city of Denver. You might also recognize that name Larimer from Larimer Street or Larimer Square. And General Larimer also came up with the name Denver. He named the city Denver after Governor James Denver, not after the Denver omelet or John Denver. Governor James Denver was the governor of the Kansas Territory, which we were a part of. We were not a state yet, but we hoped that by naming our capital city after the governor, he would give us our statehood. Unfortunately, word traveled pretty slowly back in the day, so when we had named our city, the governor had already retired. We didn't get that news until about 3 months later. But by then, the name stuck, so ever since we've been Denver. And James Denver did eventually make his way out here to his namesake city, and he didn't really think much of it. He thought it was dirty and pretty small, so he moved on to California. Alright, we are arriving at our first stop here at the aquarium. Is anyone getting off here? Raise your hands. Nope. Alright, we're going to check for passengers joining us. The aquarium is on the very aptly named Water Street.
So, as we're stopped here, I just want to point out that Elitch Gardens is right on the other side of those trees. That's one of the very few amusement parks we have here in Colorado.
The Denver Aquarium has an animal here that's pretty special, a lot different than a fish. They have tigers here, 3 tigers from an island in Indonesia called Sumatra. These Sumatran tigers, since they come from an island, they're pretty good swimmers. They've evolved to have webbed paws to help them swim a whole lot better. And they're one of the only tiger species that primary diet is fish. The aquarium itself is owned by the Landry family. The Landrys own a chain of seafood restaurants, and there is a seafood restaurant inside the aquarium as well. It's a bit dubious, but at least you know the fish is fresh. Watch your lunch swim past you. Over on the left, we have Elitch Gardens. It's called Elitch Gardens officially, but if you're ever over there, you'll realize pretty quickly the sprinkler. There's a lot of amusement park rides, not a whole lot of gardens. But back in the day, it used to be a botanic garden. It was owned by Mary Elitch and her husband John. And they were both very fond of botany, and they had a lot of cool exotic plants they wanted to show the world. So they opened the botanic gardens to the public. They moved over here a while back. This is not the original location. They used to be over on 30th and Tennyson. And they're planning on moving again in a few years. They'll be over by Denver International Airport. Pretty cool looking. If you're ever in traffic over on I-25, you'll be looking at these stacks for a while.
There's the other side real quick.
Elitch's was the site for a lot of firsts here in Colorado. It was our first zoo, our first symphony, our first play, and our first movie theater as well. The movie theater is still around today, over by the original location on 30th and Tennyson. They have showings every Friday and Saturday, I believe. Pretty cool theater. Recommend you check it out. Alright, we are arriving at our second stop here at the Children's Museum. Anyone getting off here? Few of you? Alright, we'll let you out. We got some riders joining us.
So I know I'm only showing one side right now. We're supposedly coming back the other way, so hopefully I'll show the other side on the way back.
Alright, so we are leaving the Children's Museum right now. If you look to the right, at the top of that structure that looks like a bunch of rusted balloons, looks like there's a kid up there right now. You can climb all the way up there. That is exactly a mile high above sea level. This is part of the Children's Museum. This is Joy Park. We are the Mile High City, so there are a few other places here in Denver that are exactly a mile high. Over at Empire Field, which we're coming up on right now, and at Coors Field, they both have a row of seats that are exactly a mile high, and over at the Capitol Building, the 19th step there is exactly a mile high. Plenty of ways to get miles high here in Denver. Over on the left, we have this big white wooden roller coaster. 2 words you probably don't want to hear when you get on a roller coaster: old and wooden. But this thing's been around for a long, long time. Still standing, so it's gotta be pretty safe. This is Mr. Twister. It's one of the few rides from the original Elitch's. It doesn't look like anyone's riding it right now. Recently, they did a renovation on it where they added this tunnel here, this blue, yellow, and white tunnel. It's supposed to simulate what it's like to be in a tornado. Alright, and we are coming up on Empire Field right now. This is where the Broncos try their best. We have a lot of concerts here at Mile High as well. Morgan Wallen was here a few days ago. We had a bunch of people in cowboy hats walking alongside the trolley. And for any events or games at Broncos Stadium, we will do shuttles. It's only $10 a person. You can park at REI. It's a lot cheaper than Broncos parking. And we'll drop you off at Broncos Bridge, which is just under here at I-25. If you're from Denver, you probably just call this field Mile High, just because it's gone through so many name changes. Originally, when it was finished in 2001, it was Invesco Field. Invesco had the naming rights, and then Invesco went bankrupt 2 years later, and then it was owned by Sports Authority. Sports Authority had the naming rights, and they went bankrupt 2 years later. So, owned by Empire right now. This is a retirement company, so make sure if you have your retirement money in there, you might want to take it out. They're coming up on the 2-year mark right now. Alright, right now we are going under I-25. If you're from Denver, you know how bad the traffic can be on I-25, but it probably is not too bad right now. And just under this bridge to the left, you'll see Yow Wolf. Yow Wolf.
That's where we're going.
Pretty much touch everything inside of there. It's originally from Santa Fe. They have one in Las Vegas, and I believe one opened up in Jersey recently. Got some more east here on the left. Over on the right is this Comcast building. Nothing really exciting about a cable company, but we have a lot of cable companies out here in Denver, just because we are kind of one of the only major cities in the middle of the United States. So it's a lot cheaper for these cable companies to broadcast to the entire United States from here. So saving some money, except when it comes to my cable plan. Over here on the right, we have this parking lot. A few days ago, this was Morgan Wallen's parking lot. But back in the day, it used to be a community called Brooklyn, Denver. It was home to immigrants originally from Eastern Europe. A lot of them were Jewish. They moved over to Brooklyn, New York, hence the name. Unfortunately, this was the 1920s, so the Industrial Revolution was going on, and a lot of them got respiratory illnesses, mainly tuberculosis, so they moved out here, established this community of Brooklyn. They actually established a hospital as well for respiratory issues. National Jewish is still around today. It's one of the leading respiratory hospitals. Unfortunately, during the 60s, there were a bunch of floods here in the area. This river used to flood all the time, so they built the reservoirs. So the floods kind of washed the community away. Alright, so now we gotta turn this thing around. So you guys already know what to do. We're gonna have Kaylee come and flip these seats for you, and just please let her do it, just because we don't want anyone pinching their fingers. Casa Bonita.
So apparently they're going to flip the seats.
Have you gone since they remodeled? It's a Mexican restaurant. If you ever seen the show South Park, they did an episode on it. And so when the restaurant closed down 3 years ago, the creators of South Park bought it and refurbished it. So here before this used to be
since they switched the seats, I switched sides, so I'll be able to still show you the other side.
She was the...
And she's getting ready. And away we go.
See a few of you guys looking at Bucky the Bronco over there at the top of Empire Field. That thing is 25 feet tall. It's about as tall as this trolley is long, so it's pretty big. Doesn't look like it from here. It's kind of blending in with the clouds right now. It's modeled after Roy Rogers' horse, Trigger. Roy Rogers was a famous TV cowboy, and he had a famous horse named Trigger. And Bucky is modeled after Trigger. Unfortunately, the naming rights we did not get. We only had the modeling rights. So we had to have a naming contest. People voted on the name Bucko. And over time, Bucko turned into Bucky. So that's Bucky the Bronco up there. He is one of 3 horse mascots that we have here at Mile High. We are one of the few NFL teams with a live mascot. It makes sense since there are teams like the Bears and the Bengals who don't want a potentially dangerous animal walking around the field. We have a live horse named Thunder. Thunder runs around the stadium every time we score a point, so he's been not getting a lot of exercise lately just because we're not scoring a lot of points. Mainly, he just hanged out at his stables here. We are the only NFL team with our own stables, so we may not be the best, but we have our own stables. That's that going for us. Just under this bridge to the right, you'll start to see a big circular building. That is the Ball Arena. That is where the Nuggets, our basketball team, and the Avalanche, our hockey team, play. Unfortunately, both teams did not have great seasons this year, but we'll turn it around next year. We were champions for a bit. You can also catch some great concerts at the Ball Arena. Alright, also over on the right, and kind of off in the distance, you'll see this giant golden dome. It's not super sunny out today, so it's not really shiny and easy to see, but usually it's pretty shiny and easy to see. But that is real gold up there. 4 pounds of gold. Originally when we were building it, we were going to put silver up there instead, because back then the United States was on the silver standard. But as we were about halfway done, the United States switched to the gold standard. And so we quickly took down the silver. It's kind of embarrassing. We had silver instead of gold. And we put up some gold instead. But don't worry, your tax dollars is not going towards the gold. It was actually donated to the Colorado government by a gold mine out here in Colorado. Shipped over to Florence, Italy, where it was pounded down to about a few atoms thin, thinner than a human hair. Shipped back here and they put it on top of the Capitol. Notice the wildlife here on the rails. Got the geese, of course, the baby goslings. See people fishing in the river today as well. There's tons of wildlife out here. And we get along with all animals except for one. We have one animal enemy here on the trolley. If you look to the left, you'll start to see the stump on the ground. A while ago, we were riding the trolley, and all of a sudden we saw a log across the tracks. And so we knew that this animal was playing a prank on us. Does anyone know what kind of animal does this? Beaver. You are right. It's done by a beaver. I have a joke I'm supposed to tell you that this was Justin Bieber. Yeah. But you won't see Justin Bieber, any beavers at all, because there are nocturnals. They only come out at night. We don't blame them too much for chopping down these trees. Their teeth never stop growing, and so the only way to stop their teeth from getting too long is to munch on these trees over here. You also won't see any beaver dams, just because anytime they do build one, the city comes and takes it down pretty quickly. Alright, over on the left we are passing by the Children's Museum again. This whole area used to be home to a brewery called Zang's Brewery. Back in the day, Zang's made more beer and better beer than Coors. It's not very hard to make better beer than Coors, but they did it. Unfortunately, Prohibition came along in 1916 here in Colorado, and basically the government said you're not allowed to make beer anymore, it's not good for people. So instead, Mr. Zang chose to make ice cream instead, and I'm sure his ice cream was delicious. Unfortunately, back in the day, refrigeration was not very good, so oftentimes the ice cream would melt. So his business went bankrupt shortly after that, but don't feel too bad for him, he was still extremely rich. He went on to found the town of Broomfield, and he also owned Lakeside Amusement Park for a while, so he turned out just okay. You can see this red brick building just past the aquarium with little chimneys on top of it. That was Mr. Zang's mansion. That's where he lived. Pretty big building, so you can tell he was doing pretty good back in the day. Passing by Elitch's again over on the right. This whole area of Elitch's actually used to be a rail yard called Rice Rail Yard. It was for trains dropping things off or picking things up here in Denver. There's a few trains that do come through this Elitch's area. Mainly RTD trains and coal trains from Wyoming, but back in the day it would have been filled with trains. The line that we're on right now is called the bypass rail. It was for trains that did not need to stop here in Denver, so they could skip past the rail yard and save a lot of time. Right now we're passing by the water park section here at Elitch's. It's a great way to cool off on a hot Colorado day. If you're from Colorado, you know we get pretty hot and dry summers. So the water park's a great way to cool off. But back in the day, they didn't have water parks. So instead, people would sit on a trolley like this one to catch that nice breeze coming in. You can feel it now. This trolley is called a breezer because there's no doors or windows on here, so you get that airflow coming in. Trolley for also how people got around back in the day. There used to be 250 trolleys like this one here in Denver. Took people to school, to work, all around town. But this is not an original Denver trolley. This trolley is 100 years old, and it's spent 64 years of its life over in Melbourne, Australia. Australian trolley. You can tell because the whistle has an Australian accent. But 36 years ago, we acquired the trolley, had it shipped out here, reassembled it, and ever since we've been riding around here in Denver. You might notice that our trolley, unlike a typical trolley, doesn't have a wire going over it, powering it. Our trolley is actually powered by a diesel truck engine in that big wooden box up front. Back in the day, it would have been powered by this REI here. This REI building used to be the Denver Tramway Power Company, and it stored all the power for Denver rails. They still have the plaques on the side of the building that say Denver Tramway Power Company. Oh, we got a guy fishing here on the right. I wonder if he's caught anything. Alright, and we are arriving here at our final destination. Just to remind you to stay seated until we're at a full stop. At that point, we will lift the gates and you guys are free to go. You're also free to ride again. Your tickets are good for the whole day. If you would like to support us, we do have donation boxes on either side of the trolley. Not required, but we do greatly appreciate it. Helps us keep this thing running. Other than that, have a great day, y'all. If anyone would like to come back here for pictures or to ring the bell or blow the whistle, you are welcome to.
That was a fun little trolley ride. Let's see what else is out here at the park real quick. We made it to the river real quick. As you can see, it's not a very calm river. And I believe over on the other side is a path for people to kayak. And another quick view of the river.
Yeah, hopefully I've improved a bit since then, and hopefully it'll only get better from here. I'm planning on finally getting that laptop with my tax return. Gonna get some better editing software and, well, let's hopefully improve on all this. I do have some plans of hopefully going out with or without the boot pretty soon. Let's hope that I can get that filming done, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Let's take it back to Past Me to completely wrap this up. Take it away, Past Me.
Well, all in all, that trolley was kind of fun. It's only $7 for an adult, $3 for a kid, so very affordable. I definitely recommend it for a nice little half-hour excursion. See you next time.